Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive on Mustafa Suleyman.
Mustafa Suleyman. He's really making waves in the world of AI.
He really is, and his work with DeepMind is revolutionary, to say the least. But before we fully get into all of that, I think it'd be good to, really understand his background and what led him to where he is today.
Right, because it's not your typical Silicon Valley story.
Exactly. So where do we even begin?
Well, he was born in London.
Okay, London. So not exactly a stone's throw from Silicon Valley.
Not at all. And get this, his dad was a Syrian taxi driver and his mom an English nurse.
Wow, talk about a melting pot of experiences right from the start.
Right. And you can really see how that upbringing, those roots, influenced his path. I mean, even from a young age, he was already driven to make a real difference.
Yeah, I read that he actually left Oxford when he was just 19.
19, to start the Muslim Youth Helpline.
Wow, that's incredible. It makes you wonder what we were all doing at 19.
Seriously. This wasn't just some side project either. It turned into a major resource for mental health support.
So it's clear that social impact was core to his DNA from the very beginning.
Absolutely. And it didn't stop there, you know. He goes on to work with Rio's partners.
Rio's partners, remind me what they do again.
Basically, they work on huge, complicated global issues. We're talking with the UN, the World Wildlife Fund.
It's like next-level problem solving.
Exactly. And this was all before DeepMind. It's like he was unconsciously preparing for the complexities of AI.
So he's got this background in social change, tackling these massive systemic problems. Then he steps into the world of AI. How does that happen?
Right, because we're talking 2010, AI wasn't what it is today. But Suleyman, along with Demis Hassabis and Shane Legg, they had this vision. They wanted to create what they called general-purpose artificial intelligence.
General purpose. I mean, that sounds incredibly ambitious, even now.
Think about it. An AI that can tackle any intellectual task a human can, that was their mission.
So when did Google come into the picture?
2014. They bought DeepMind for a whopping 400 million pounds.
400 million. Yeah. They must have seen something pretty extraordinary to shell out that kind of money.
They did. And Suleyman, he immediately got to work. One of his first big projects was leading this team to optimize Google's data centers.
Okay, now we're talking about those massive server farms that power, well, pretty much everything Google does, right?
Exactly. And those things are energy hogs, especially when it comes to cooling. But Suleyman and his team, they used AI to analyze mountains of data, temperature readings, server usage patterns, you name it.
So the AI could actually understand how to cool the data centers more efficiently.
Yes, in real time, based on all that data. They managed to reduce the energy consumption for cooling by a crazy 40%.
Now that's what I call putting AI to work. It's not just some abstract concept, it's making a tangible impact.
Right, saving Google money, saving energy, it was a win-win. But Suleyman wasn't done. His vision went way beyond energy efficiency. He was also really passionate about using AI to revolutionize healthcare.
That's right. DeepMind Health. What was it they were working on?
One of the big ones was an app called Streams.
Streams. Okay, I vaguely remember that.
So basically, it used machine learning to try and catch acute kidney injury early on.
Now that's a condition that can be really hard to detect, right?
Yeah, it often doesn't show up until it's too late. But this app, it was designed to analyze patient data, in real time, and look for those really subtle warning signs, those tiny patterns that might point to kidney injury.
So like a superpowered early warning system.
Exactly. It would alert the doctors right away, giving them way more time to intervene and hopefully prevent the condition from becoming critical, potentially saving lives.
It sounds incredible. But didn't the Streams app also run into some problems? Something about data privacy.
Oh, you're right. There were definitely concerns about that. People were worried, and rightfully so, about how their medical data was being handled, even if the intentions were good. It brought up a really important point about AI, especially when you're dealing with sensitive information, like health records.
Yeah, it's not enough to just have good intentions. You have to address those ethical implications head on.
Exactly. You have to bake those ethical considerations into the very fabric of the technology. And that's something that Suleyman really seems to understand, which is what makes his journey even more interesting.
It really highlights the importance of ethical AI, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about building something cool, it's about building something responsible.
Right. And that's actually a huge part of Suleyman's story. He didn't just want to create powerful AI, he wanted to make sure it was used ethically, which is why his role in setting up DeepMind ethics in society is so interesting.
Okay, DeepMind Ethics and Society. Now, that rings a bell, but remind me again what exactly that was all about.
So it was this whole research unit, and they were focused on really digging into the bigger picture of AI's impact on society. Things like, how will AI affect jobs? What about bias in algorithms? And the implications for human rights? All those thorny questions.
It's like he was trying to get ahead of the curve, right? Anticipating those ethical dilemmas before they became major problems.
Exactly. And his influence went way beyond just DeepMind, too. He was also a co-chair of the Partnership on AI.
Oh, right, right. That was that big collaboration with, what was it, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all those tech giants coming together.
Yep, all of them. And the goal was to establish some ethical standards for AI development across the board.
Which is huge. Getting those companies to agree on anything is a feat in itself.
Totally. But it shows how committed Suleyman was, and still is, to this idea of responsible AI development. And that actually leads us to his next venture, Inflection AI.
Inflection AI. Now, this one was particularly interesting to me because they're focusing on AI with emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah, they are.
Which is a mind-blowing concept, to be honest. I mean, what does that even look like? An AI that can understand our emotions?
Well, it's still early days, but basically the idea is to develop AI that can sense and respond to human emotions, not just understand our words, but actually pick up on our tone, our facial expressions, all the subtle cues.
So it's not just about, hey, Siri, set a timer. It's more like, hey, Siri, are you okay? You seem down.
Yeah, exactly. It's about making AI more relatable, more human-like in its interactions. And they actually launched this chatbot called Pi.
Pi.
It's designed to have those more emotionally intelligent conversations. It's more about companionship than just completing tasks.
It really makes you think about the future, right? I mean, what happens when AI starts to understand us on that deeper emotional level?
It's a huge question and honestly a little bit unnerving too. But then, in another twist, Suleyman makes this big move in 2024. He becomes the CEO of Microsoft AI.
Whoa. So now he's at the helm of one of the biggest AI players out there.
Right. It's like he went from pushing for ethical AI from the outside to leading the charge from within one of the most powerful tech companies in the world.
And it all seems to circle back to his roots, right? That commitment to social impact, to using technology for good.
It does. And in his 2023 book, The Coming Wave, which he co-wrote with Michael Bhaskar, he actually lays out his vision for the future of AI, synthetic biology, all these powerful technologies that are emerging.
I've heard of that book. What's the gist? What does he see on the horizon?
Well, he argues that we're on the verge of something truly massive. He uses the analogy of a tsunami to describe the impact these technologies are going to have.
A tsunami? Wow, that's pretty intense.
He's not wrong, though. Think about it. AI, synthetic biology, these have the power to completely reshape our world. And he's excited about the possibilities, but he's also really cautious about the risks.
So what's the solution? What does he propose we do?
He talks about the need for what he calls containment.
Containment, like containing a virus.
In a way, yeah. He's saying that we need to proactively establish ethical boundaries, global regulations for these technologies right from the start.
Which, to be honest, feels like a long shot. I mean, getting the entire world to agree on anything is, well, challenging.
True, but he argues that it's essential if we want to ensure that these technologies are used for good for everyone.
It makes you realize we're not just talking about some far-off future anymore, are we? This is happening now.
Exactly, and that's why Suleyman's message is so important. He wants us, all of us, to be aware of what's at stake, to be engaged in this conversation about how we develop and use AI.
It's easy to feel helpless.
Yeah.
Like all these decisions are being made in Silicon Valley boardrooms, and we don't have a say.
I get that, but the truth is, we're all shaping this future. Every time we use a search engine, every time we interact with a chatbot, we're feeding that AI, teaching it.
You're right. It's like those terms and conditions we all blindly scroll through, they actually have real-world consequences.
They do, and it brings to mind this kind of controversial thing Suleyman said earlier this year about using internet data to train AI.
Yeah, he got some backlash for that, didn't he? Something about how anything on the open web is fair game.
Pretty much, yeah. He basically said that if a website doesn't explicitly forbid it, the content is up for grabs. Free to be copied and used to train AI models.
I can see why that rubbed some people the wrong way, especially artists and writers. It's their work.
Absolutely. It's a huge ethical gray area. On one hand, you have the potential of AI to learn and improve, but on the other, you have the rights of creators.
It's tough. Where do you even begin to draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's something we need to figure out as a society. It's about finding that balance, you
Hmm.
know? How do we allow for AI to flourish without stifling creativity or exploiting people's work?
Which takes us right back to Suleiman's big idea, right?
Yeah.
Responsible AI.
Right. It's not just about what we can do with AI, but what we should do with it.
It's been fascinating learning about him, his journey, from those early days at the Muslim Youth Helpline to leading the charge at Microsoft AI.
Yeah.
He's definitely someone to watch.
He is. And here's something to chew on, something Suleiman himself talks about. He believes that the future of AI isn't just about intelligence, it's about emotional intelligence.
Okay, now that's getting really meta, really fast.
Yeah.
AI with feelings. What would that even look like?
Right. It's a trip. But imagine AI that can understand not just what we say, but how we feel. AI that can comfort us, challenge us, inspire us on a whole other level.
It's both exhilarating and a little terrifying at the same time.
Totally. But that's the thing about the future, right? It's full of unknowns. And as Suleiman's story shows us, it's up to us to shape that future, to make sure it's one where AI is a force for good in the world.
Well said. And that, my friends, is a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Mustafa Suleyman.
A true pioneer.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.